Okay, by the clock on the wall, it is now 6 o'clock. I'd like to welcome you all to the May 28th, 2026 meeting of the Oshtemo Township Planning Commission. If you'd all please rise and join us in citing the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have an agenda published for tonight's meeting. Has everybody had the opportunity to review it? Are there any additions or corrections that need to be made to the agenda? And may we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Second. All right, we have a motion made and seconded. All those wanting to approve the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The minutes are approved. All right, we've come to the point for public comment on non-agenda items.
You missed the minute. That was agenda.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
I checked off the wrong one. You're right. Now the minutes, excuse me. We have before us the minute packet of the last meeting being May 14th, 2026. Has everybody had the opportunity to review that?
Yes.
Are there any additions or corrections that need to be made? All right, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Very good. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. And finally, I can check the right box. Okay, now we've come to the public comment on non-agenda items. If you wish to make a comment on anything that is not on the agenda for tonight, please come up to the podium, state your name, and let us know what your position is. You have 4 minutes. I'd just like to remind everybody that please keep it friendly, and we'll do our best to keep it friendly with you too. Okay. Yes.
My name is John Neuenhuis. I live at 3235 South 6th Street in Kalamazoo, Oshtemo Township. To be honest with you, I don't know if I'm at the right meeting. So I was at a township meeting last night, and they suggested that I come in and also talk tonight. So here I am. So I have no real presentation how to say anything or what, so here I am. I have lived in Oshtemo Township for probably 30 plus years. I was back originally when Oshtemo went back and rezoned Oshtemo because they had so much spot zoning all over the place that they wanted to rezone it, and I was on that board to do that. I was also a Kalamazoo County Commissioner for 2 terms. The issue that's come up is on South 6th Street between Stadium Drive and ML Avenue. We zoned that at that time to be a low-impact area of industry starting, because you got residential homes on one side, and to start industry, and as it progressed into Oshtemo, that it would get heavier. However, what's happened, and there was no businesses in that area at that time. There's 2 businesses now in that area that have come in as a small business and have grown very large. They have large gravel trains. They have like 5 of them that are in and out all day long. They have gravel trucks that are in all day long, and they have multiple employees that take care of a lawn care service. So it's continuous traffic, in and out all day long, heavy traffic. Next to that is owned by the same identity, but by a different name. They came in as a business over here on West Main, and they bought them out and moved that heavy logging business onto 6th Street. And at that time, I'm running out of time here, And at that time, they were not allowed to put a sawmill in there. They tried to, and then, since then, they do have a sawmill in there. They were not supposed to grind, they have a big tub grinder that grinds large stumps, hellacious noise when it does it. They were not allowed to do that. They said they'll do it off-site, haul the material in-site. They don't, they grind it on-site. The smell is bad, the noise is bad. Logging trucks are in all day long. And I don't know exactly how many employees that place has, but it's a lot. But then they sell material in and out, that, the public. So but you just have, between those two businesses that were not small anymore, they're not user-friendly, they're not neighborhood-friendly, and they are creating an immense amount of noise and smoke to the neighbors. What I talked about last night was the smoking and the burning.
You have
That
1
they
minute
burn
left.
Wood materials over there, and the smoke is just horrendous. That's going over the neighborhood, and it's choking. And so I don't know how to address, when does a small business start and is no longer a small business? And I guess that's kind of my question. So, thank you very much.
I'm a resident. I live right off of Drake, so I'm over on the east side. I can see Kalamazoo from my house. I'm here because I have some questions and some comments about the energy ordinance. I know that at previous meetings, especially this winter, there was discussion here and at the Board of Trustees about having various experts come in to talk about, battery storage, because that's right now a pretty hot issue. And so last night I had to attend by Zoom, but I heard discussions about how you've been in contact with a civil engineer. I would suggest also talking to a chemical engineer. And I remember from those past meetings that you were going to bring in experts at a certain point, and we've already had experts from the state telling us how the PA 233 ordinance works, which was very useful, because you don't understand that process, that becomes a real issue. So I'm hoping that at some point, because June is right around the corner, and that's when the next draft will be coming out. I think this is a pretty significant ordinance for the township and also for our neighbors as well, because southwestern Michigan is really a target for data centers, battery storage, and other, solar and wind. And some of these I think are very beneficial, like solar and wind can be done on a small scale very effectively. But however, battery storage at this point, if you're going to use lithium-ion batteries, you're basically putting a bomb into your neighborhood. And I know that we have industrial zones. They're right adjoining neighborhoods, especially in the southern part of the township. So these battery storage things should not be in a residential, rural, or agriculture area at all, regardless of what state law says. It's just too dangerous at this point. However, I'm also concerned about having it in an industrial area too. Now, the battery technology is improving. Right now, I'm not convinced yet that it's at that point where it's safe. However, I think that in the next few years, we're going to see technologies that are going to make battery storage probably a lot safer and probably more reasonable to use. I think that that's going to probably be a big part of the renewable energy movement, because we have to get off of fossil fuels, because we know that pollutes and damages people and the land, and we all need air and clean water to live. So one thing I would ask is that if you can give us some heads up on when, if you're hopefully going to bring experts in. I know that sometimes that may cost money or have logistics, but you can use Zoom to bring people in from far away. That's one advantage. I think that would be very useful so that people can find out what is the current science, what is the evidence right now that shows where these battery storage units are at. Because if we put something that is a bomb in a neighborhood, that to me is not, that's just something that we shouldn't do. It also would probably blow a hole in the whole master plan. There's no point in going through a master plan planning process if you're going to have,
You have 1
those
minute
types of
left.
industries. So my question is hopefully you can, advertise soon when you're going to have that draft out for people to review and when you're going to be bringing in others who can help address this and answer questions. I think there's been some progress in this area. We're having those conversations once a month now. But once the ordinance comes out, that's when it's really going to, I think, hit home, because it's really significant. And we have barriers, I think, at the state that really are not protecting people's health or the land's health. And that's really a line that we shouldn't be crossing, because it's not just residents of Oshtemo that are at risk, it's also our neighbors. And we have lots of land and lots of water, and that's right now a big target for people who are going to profit off.
Thank you, time's up.
My name is Tanita DeBryan. We own property that is adjoining to where the battery energy storage system is proposed. I would ask that each of you individually please take time to do your own research about what a battery energy storage system is. You've heard us tell you over and over how dangerous it is, but until you read all of these things on your own, it doesn't really hit home as well. And as you do it, imagine it being in your backyard. And I also hope that you will take time to research the Michigan Public Service Commission's application form. It's 98 pages long, and it has a lot of boxes that need to be checked before they would ever approve anything to be allowed to go into, especially a residential area. So please look at that before the ordinance that is being written is presented to you. Have some questions in your mind that you saw in that application form that may not be addressed here. I don't know what you're going to see when this comes out. But we're all in anticipation of what kinds of things they will be expected to adhere to. Also, this is a really important decision for each of you. It should not be made on someone else's advice or someone else's input as far as what they would think you should do. This is your decision. It affects thousands of people. It's your legacy. So please do your research and understand how difficult this is. I know for you to make these decisions is hard, but don't let someone else tell you what to think. Make up your own mind about it. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Seeing no one else making their way to the podium to make a comment, I'm going to declare the public comment on the non-agenda items are now closed. We're moving to a public hearing on the Michigan Housing Partnership, which deals with property located on the 6,000 block of Parkview Avenue. Is there a presentation on this? Oh, Colton, sorry. I don't know how I could possibly miss you.
All right, thank you, Chair. The applicant, Michigan Housing Partnership LLC, on behalf of the property owners, Lewis and Cheryl Buell, is requesting to rezone 38.53 acres of land in the 6,000 block of Parkview Avenue to the R4 Residence District. The property in question is outlined in blue on the right-hand side of this slide on your screen, with the portion of land proposed to be rezoned outlined in red. Property is about 39.77 acres in size and is currently dual zoned. The parcel encompasses about 3.5 acres of commercial zoning and about 36 acres of R5 zoning. The applicant, at the request of the property owners, has excluded 1.24 acres of land in the far northeast corner of the property in order to retain its commercial zoning. The rezoning request, if approved, would result in the remaining 38.53 acres of land being rezoned to the R4 district. Over my next few slides, I'll cover the various considerations for a rezoning request. When reviewing a rezoning request, there are some generally recognized criteria that should be taken into consideration, which are outlined on this slide. And here on out, I'll provide an overview for each one. So the first criterion is reviewing the proposal against the comprehensive plan. In other words, does the request reflect the township's vision for the area in question? An excerpt of the township's future place types map is provided on the right-hand side of your screen. The future place types map in the 2045 Oshtemo Comprehensive Plan identifies this area for neighborhood mixed use, which is comprised of areas characterized by a diverse mix of uses, including housing, small-scale commercial, and public gathering spaces designed to foster walkability, a sense of community, and accessibility. The proposed rezoning would be consistent with the current use of adjacent sites, the future place types map, and the township zoning ordinance. Second criterion looks at whether the requested rezoning is consistent with the existing zoning classifications in the area. On the right-hand side of your screen is an excerpt of the township's current zoning map. This site is currently zoned R5 and commercial. Properties with the R4 zoning designation are adjacent to the north and northeast. Rural residential and R4 zoning to the east. R5 zoning abuts immediately to the west. And then IR Industrial District, which was rezoned from the I1 Industrial District back in 1987, also abuts to the south. A rezoning to the R4 would be consistent with the zoning of properties in this area. This ties into the third criterion, whether the proposed R4 zoning would follow the established land use patterns in this area. A number of medium to high density land uses already exist on Parkview Avenue. You have Huntington Run Manufactured Housing Community immediately to the west. You have various multi-family developments on the north side, Parkview Avenue, and south side, Stadium Drive. And you also have senior citizen and nursing homes as well in this area of Parkview Avenue. The rezoning request is consistent and compatible with land use patterns in the area, with the possible exception of the agricultural land uses. However, the owners of that acreage are parties of this rezoning request. The fourth criterion looks at whether there is adequate infrastructure in place to support the requested rezoning. So municipal water is currently available, however, sanitary sewer is not. If the property were to ever develop, sanitary sewer would need to be extended. Parkview Avenue is considered a county primary road, so therefore staff has no concerns in this area. So on this next slide is the fifth criterion, which looks at whether the site can reasonably be used under the current zoning classification. The property is presently being farmed by the property owner. Reasonable use of property will be maintained if the rezoning request were to be denied, as agricultural may continue, or the property could be developed into a manufactured housing community with a commercial use fronting Parkview Avenue, where it's currently zoned commercial. However, the land has been dual zoned with both commercial and R5 zoning since at least 1987. Rezoning to the R4 district allows for greater flexibility and additional housing opportunities development-wise. The zoning would be consistent with the area if the subject property was successfully rezoned. And lastly, potential effects this rezoning would have on surrounding properties should be evaluated. No negative impacts to surrounding properties are anticipated if the respective portion of the parcel is rezoned to the R4 district. Medium to high density land uses have been established for some time on neighboring properties. Many parcels adjacent to the proposed rezoning site consist of the same, if not a lower, zoning classification, A rezoning to the R4 would allow for development that is less dense than permitted by the current zoning. Given the existing pattern in the area, the rezoning would complement adjacent zoning and present land uses. So in summary, the Planning Commission must review the information provided in the report, the application and supplemental attachments, listen to the applicant's presentation, have an open dialogue with the applicant, consider public comment, if any, and then make a finding as to whether the rezoning request conforms to the standards and recommendations of the 2045 Oshtemo Comprehensive Plan and meets the generally recognized factors considered for a rezoning request. Subsequent to the public hearing and deliberation, the Planning Commission may forward the recommendation of approval with conditions, or denial of the rezoning request to the Township Board. You may also table the request. I'd be happy to answer any questions the Commission may have. Would also like to note that the applicant is present with us here tonight to help answer any questions.
Thank you, Colton. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to address to Colton directly?
Colton, would you please leave one of the maps up? Thank you.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay, do we have anyone from the applicant? Mr. Buell, is this you? No? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike West. I'm with Michigan Housing Partnership, affiliated with Allen Edwin Homes, 2186 East Center Avenue in Portage, Michigan. I'd like to thank the Commission for your consideration this evening, also for Colton's very detailed, comprehensive staff review. Don't really have a lot to offer beyond that, other than to maybe talk a little bit about our intentions are with the property. We do plan on doing a residential housing development there. We're working through several different concepts right now. Once we get through the rezoning process, we'll be back in front of you folks for more detailed review of the site plan. But we're looking at a variety of different housing, anything from 2, 3, 4 bedroom options, provide some much needed housing to the area. So if you folks have any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to try to answer.
Are these single-family dwellings that you're considering, or are they?
Yeah, primarily, I think it's almost exclusively single-family, but different housing types. So we have ranch, we have two-story, we have 1,100 square foot, 2-bedroom ranches. We have upwards to 1,900, 2,000 square foot single-family homes with 4 bedrooms. So it'll be a variety and a mixture. We're also considering some attached product as well.
But like, nothing like duplexes or triplexes, a mixed kind of use?
Not currently. We have inserted those types of land uses in there. I guess that'll be more for discussion, with the next step, so.
Thank you.
I'll just remind you, I put the R4 and R5 in front of you, so we have to consider every use that the R4 would allow if the rezoning goes forward. So just keep that in mind.
I have a general question. I'm not sure if it's appropriate to ask you. That northeast corner of the property that stays commercial?
Yeah.
Did I read somewhere that there's something already there, something to do with the irrigation system?
That's correct. So in that northeast corner, there's the well for that center pivot irrigation system that's currently serving that property. So the Buells wanted to retain that currently, because I think they're going to still end up farming the property to the east. And then they also wanted to retain an acre and a quarter approximately for possible commercial development down the road.
My other question would be, in terms of residential development, I make the naive assumption that access is going to be off of Parkview. Is that the only access and egress to the development?
Correct, yeah, that's a good question. Again, we're a little bit ahead of the curve, but we've already had those preliminary conversations with staff. Obviously, you're going to need a secondary access there at a minimum for emergency vehicles. So we're pursuing some other options for secondary access, whether that be through the mobile home community or whether that be to the south through a future development that's going, I think, ahead of ours. But yeah, we're aware of that. It's something we have to address with the site plan. Got a similar situation that the mobile home community had there. I think they only have one access. They have one access on Parkview, and then they have a a secondary emergency vehicle access off the 9th Street that's gated. We're pursuing a similar type of arrangement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, does anyone in the audience wish to make a comment on this project? Now is your time. Can you come up, or is it going to be difficult for you to? Okay, very good.
My name is Roberta Thompson. I live at 6165 Suffield Lane, and that is in the Huntington Run community that they have been talking about here, that this project is supposed to go next to. I have concerns because I attended meetings around a year and a half ago about them extending Atlantic Avenue, going across Parkview and making Parkview a dead-end street. How can you put in more housing that comes onto Parkview and make that a dead-end street? Or has that whole project been wiped away and we haven't heard about it yet? One of my questions. I don't know that the roads that we have there on Parkview and 9th Street, and especially since they don't have access off of 9th Street, how the road is going to accommodate a large community again. Especially since they have those new apartments that are down a ways off of 9th Street. If you visioning what I'm saying. That's my question is that project still an ongoing thing, or is that stopped? Or, because there were supposed to be apartments and office buildings built in that section that goes across Parkview onto Stadium, is what we were told before. And so how does this affect that project?
You know, we really don't have an answer for you because we can only deal with what is put in front of us, and we don't have anything on those projects that you know something about. So I don't want to respond.
We were told about that. They said they were from the Planning Commission when we went to those meetings about that.
I don't want to use your 4 minutes, but I'll answer your questions at the end of public comment.
Okay, well, that's my main question is how is the traffic going to be handled? I mean, Parkview is not that great a road down in that area anyway. It gets better as you move along, but that strip there isn't great anyway, and to add a huge new living area there is real questionable. That's just my thing. My comment, sorry.
Thank you. No.
Thank you.
Nothing to apologize for. Come on up.
My name is Dr. Phyllis Crandall, and I live in Huntington Run. I would ask the commission to take some time to research during this process water, sewer, streets, Atlantic, where our entranceway is not usable for any more traffic at this time in this condition. I would ask you to look at lighting. I would ask you to look at the ruling for Atlantic and Parkview in that area as to safety and speed limit, stop signs, this sort of thing. Think carefully about doubling the size of Huntington Run with another community that is using that piece of the pie, so to speak, of Parkview and Atlantic. It would make a bigger impact than we do at Huntington Run, and already there are problems there. Think carefully.
right, seeing nothing further from the public hearing portion is closed. And commissioners, anybody got any questions or any concerns? Mike?
Yeah, question. The R5 is one of the, I believe it's the only district that allows manufactured housing. Is that correct?
A community, you could put one on a home, on a lot somewhere, but a community of them, yeah, this is the only district.
And how many, and I tried to look, but how much more R5 do we have? There, I couldn't see very easily how much R5 was left.
This might be our last vacant parcel, but the township used to have about 30% of residents in the county that lived in a mobile home community, they lived in Oshtemo. So we have a significant part of the county's population in these neighborhoods. And I would like to just answer, the DDA is working on the extension of Atlantic Avenue. That's why you haven't heard anything, but it's been stalled now for a couple of years trying to work with, go ahead, fill in the blank, the road commission. So, and it will require study. If Parkview becomes a dead end, then we need another way for people. We don't want anyone cutting through LaRue's parking lot to continue their journey to Stadium Drive. So all that still needs to be studied. It's many years out. Was there another question? Was that it?
Well, that was my main thing. That and the fact that they have a cutout on Atlantic already that was supposed to have office buildings built in it, and all there is a street there that they built quite a few years ago.
Oh, Millard's.
I've been a resident there for 30 years, so I've watched that, go on, and nothing's ever been built back there.
And that's another project of the DDA to do it, like a campus study. And it includes if Parkview comes and curves and goes south, and Millard's Way becomes more formal.
Yeah.
If we can, design that, it's all interrelated.
Well, that's what I thought it should be, and that's where my questions were, but that hasn't even happened yet, let alone moving on to putting more people in there.
Well, we shouldn't be engaging like this. I apologize, Mr.
Sorry.
Chair. But a traffic study would be required.
Well, and some of the things that have been mentioned would have to be addressed in a site plan,
Yeah.
Right.
showing the proposed entrances and driveways, roads. Now, I think the applicant mentioned something about a development that's going to be going on south of where they're looking right now. Do we know what that is?
We've seen some comments for warehouses on that property, or concepts for some warehouses.
But again, as far as the secondary access, that's something to be dealt with in site plan. Your focus should be on the criteria that
Right,
Colton presented.
right. Right, I was just trying to stress that the things that have been expressed as concerns
Will be addressed
would be
later.
addressed during a site plan review. And they would have to be able to to satisfy the needs of those questions to get their site plan approved. So that is a discussion that would take place.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
No.
No, okay.
All right, no one else has any questions?
I've got just
Chair, I
one
do
more,
have one
Al,
question.
if you don't mind.
Oh.
Looking back to the original comments from Colton, it looked like in the master comprehensive plan, this was what, mixed use? Neighborhood mixed use, right? Does
Correct.
R4 still allow for that?
Well, the R4 district, it allows for an array of uses. It allows for single-family duplexes. It allows for planned unit developments as a special exception use, so that would come back here. Allows for multifamily nursing homes, senior citizen homes, so, and a lot more, diverse uses compared to the R5. The R5 is really just tailored specifically to the
No, I follow the
manufactured housing
current
community.
R5, and I don't have any, question about that. My question still comes down to if this in the master plan is designated as mixed neighborhood, okay, What I'm hearing so far is a residential development.
Confusing mixed use with.
That doesn't seem like a mixed neighborhood to me. I'm just asking for that clarification.
Well, planned unit developments are a tool allowed in the R4. It's not allowed in the R5, and planned unit developments is a form of mixed use and would allow for flexible housing types and whatnot.
Ron, don't confuse your zoning text with your
With the
master land
plan.
use
Yeah,
plan.
that's where I
because-
think I'm getting all
Yeah, don't-
confused.
the-
I'm
yeah.
out in ether somewhere where I don't belong.
They're two different things, two different
Okay.
animals.
Thanks, Jim.
And I would need to correct something I said to you, trustee Chapman. The whole western third of, it's not Clayton Estates, what anymore, what is it?
Fountain Springs.
Fountain
off,
Springs.
9th and
They
8th.
have shown us some concepts over the last couple of years for about 200 more lots for mobile homes.
Thank you.
I have a question about the acre and change and what the intent is there. I understand it's irrigation now, it's a pump house or something. So is that remaining as commercial, as a pump house? And what's that, if you go down the road, what does that commercial on a acre and some change look like in this area?
So the commercial would be retained. It's my understanding, based on the information from the applicant, that it is an irrigation well for the farming and whatnot. But it's my understanding that the property owners would like that commercial of the 1.24 acres to be retained.
Yeah, similar to the rezoning we did, or you saw earlier this year on H Avenue, I reached out to the adjacent owner on H Avenue, and I did write a letter to the Buells to ask them if we could include that corner, and they asked to not have that 1.25 acres included in the rezoning request.
Thank you. This appears to be a lighter use than the R5, so at least the traffic issues that we've been discussing, I know they'll have to be accommodated for, but this helps to alleviate some of this as opposed to adding to it as much. Because it could be R5 right now, it could be more mobile home development. So I don't know if you're ready for a motion.
Yeah, my initial concern was the loss of potential for manufactured housing, because we have not a lot of housing at the lower end of the cost point, and I was concerned about that. But that's my only real concern, given that we have additional information. There's other areas. That was the only concern. So I have no opposition to this at this point. My initial concern was the loss of that potential as we build larger houses and more costly houses. We're not seeing a lot at that lower price point. But given there is other zones available, I have no reservations, no hesitations on this.
Anybody else? All right. Then does somebody wish to make a motion on this?
I'd like to make a motion that we rezone the 6,000 block, it's not really the 6,000 block, but this parcel, 0535 230 016, to R5 from, or R4, and it's 38.5 acres, to an R4 residential district, with the small portion remaining a local business proceed.
And technically, that'd be a recommendation to the township board.
Okay. So I'd like to make that recommendation in the motion to the township board.
All right, we have a motion on the table to approve the rezoning request on this particular application. Does anybody second that?
Support.
Support, we have a motion and a support. All those in favor of the motion to approve the rezoning of approximately 38.5 acres on Parkview Avenue from R5 Residential District and C Local Business District to R4 Residential District, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. The motion is, the rezoning is approved. Do we have any other updates or business that we should know about from anyone?
Well, you have your next public comment.
I thought I did that.
No?
All right. Second public comment. If anybody has a comment on anything that occurred tonight on the agenda, please feel free to come up, and you've got 4 minutes to address us. This will be different than what you did previously, where you had to comment on things that weren't on the agenda. Seeing nothing, I move to close the public comment. Any comments from the planning commissioners on anything that's before us that we need to discuss? No? Any updates, Jody?
An update on the energy system text. We hope to have something before you next month, but I can't promise for sure. Our consultant's in China, but we're trying to put a time together on Tuesday morning, which would be his nighttime, I think, to talk about the recommended language to add to the draft that we sent him.
All right. If there are no other updates and other business, I find that the meeting is now concluded at 6:42 PM. Thank you all for coming.